The purpose of this presentation is to present an argument formulated by David Hume against the believability of miracles. To understand his argument requires that we take a first pass at his theory of human understanding. To understand Hume's understanding of the understanding, we'll take a look at his treatise of human nature. What we have is perception. Impressions are composed of two things, the senses and passions. Senses are what you feel, it's sensory experience. It would be observing the color red. Passions are more internally derived. It would be like how you feel when you see the color red. Anger, embarrassment. But then there are ideas. Ideas are representations of impressions. Ideas are the mediating images that the mind perceives of the impressions that you experience. You have perception, but without some sort of organizing force, your experience of the world would be a blurry mess. Hume formulates the principles of association: resemblance, contiguity, and cause-effect. Resemblance is the relation which forces you to compare different experiences with each other. A picture of your friend makes you recall your real friend. Contiguity is the relation of things in space and time. The closer you get to your home from a journey, the more landmarks you can associate impressions and ideas. Cause and effect is the relation whereby, through repetition, you begin to infer how events follow each other. This is important to understand because Hume's model of the understanding affects how one believes in something. If a person has not experienced something, they cannot form an idea of it. If you have never seen the color red, you cannot have an idea of red. Hume's use of vivacity is used to describe the most prominent ideas that are available to a person's repetitive experience. Over and over again, a person observes some event follow after another. They form an idea of this type of experience. Hume describes ideas as overpowering one another. A vivacious idea is one which the understanding uses to operate. This is what belief is. If an idea is weak, that means that it is unable to be used by the understanding for a person to act upon. Now that we've covered how the understanding operates, we can get into the thrust of Hume's main argument about how miracles cannot be believed through human testimony.
Hume's main argument testifies against even the possibility of miracles, using the unreliability of human experience as a vehicle. Since humans rely on the principles of association, we can sometimes be wrong about connecting causes with effects. Miracles are uncommon experiences, and humans require repetition to make such accurate inferences. Without being able to conduct multiple experiments to ensure the same outcome, there's a high chance that what we infer about a miracle is incorrect. So in the case of a miracle, there needs to be at least a few more humans to corroborate the testimony. And even if we were to do so, the wonder and passion someone feels upon experiencing a miracle can distort experience and lead to unreliable recollection. There's also the chance that every miraculous event written down in the history books could have been done by someone ignorant, who was not present for the actual miracle, or failed to conclude from natural evidence. Additionally, multiple faith groups profess the same miracle, but with different contexts and natures. Hume asks us to consider which faith has the, quote, best version, end quote, of the same miracle. Since we can't reliably argue a difference, we'll have to reject the existence of the event. Let's take the miracle of resurrection as an example. Lazarus of Bethany was a man who lived during Jesus' time. He died of an illness and was resurrected. Lazarus' story is present within multiple sects of Christian faith. Each of these sects has different accounts of the details of Lazarus' story, all claiming to be the correct account of the story. Hume is making a case for Occam's razor when reliably distinguishing a difference between accounts of the story. Additionally, the same is reasoned for the principles of association within human experience. If we cannot proportionately balance belief and evidence, then we cannot regard an account as true. In summary, Hume prioritizes the value of empirical evidence in determining the truth of claims made by humans.
In order to best debunk Hume's argument against miracles, we need to be very careful as to how we once again define miracles. It would be easy to say that because Hume defines miracles as occurrences that violate the laws of nature, either 1, all miracles do in fact go in accordance with nature, which need not necessarily discourage any religious believer, or 2, miracles are simply impossibly defined, akin to saying miracles are things that can't happen, so miracles therefore can't happen, which would be a very unsatisfying conclusion. To remedy this, let us steelman Hume's definition, and instead say that he claims that miracles are occurrences explained via an intervention of God or some invisible agent. To this, I simply argue the following. If a godlike being were to exist, wouldn't they need to do something only a god could do to show themselves to us? Otherwise, if they didn't, wouldn't it be easily explained away? However, even if such a being were to exist, this doesn't explain Hume's multitude of reasonable qualifiers. Never in all of history has a miracle been attested by a sufficient number of men of such unquestioned good sense as to make the detection of any falsehood unavoidable. However, even Hume himself provides multiple examples of such miracles, happening in which he argues we should still not believe. He does this to prove his final point, that miracles from other faiths have to, by definition, counteract each other. In doing so, he argues that how can we believe in one miracle happening when others are just as, if not more likely to be true than another? And this is where Hume ultimately fails. Instead of discounting all miracles, unless of course one has definitive proof to assert God or the like does not exist, rather, we must examine each and every miracle on its own, with a high degree of scrutiny so that we can firmly dissolve all of Hume's noted doubts and worries of collusion or hallucination. In doing this, we can confidently find that some miracles are certainly more reputable than others. So let us weigh only the best of the best, not all against each other, and falsely assume they must all equal and counteract the latter and the former. Thank you.